Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Edge. Just some daily news and motivation. And today I'm just going to let y'all know I feel like I need a little more of that motivation. Yesterday was tough on me, um, emotional. I also went for a run yesterday. I haven't done that in a while. My ankle's killing me this morning. So I'm probably going to focus a little more on some motivation. If we can figure out any motivation, if anybody has any motivation for me or to share with everybody, please leave it in the comments and I will respond and share it with everyone. Live on the stream. So let's jump into a little bit of news. What's going on in world news today? Anything new? Hopefully nothing too
Here are the top
horrible.
factual headlines in world news for today, November
Ukraine-Russia
6, 2025,
conflict.
covering key global developments. Top world news headlines: Ukraine/Russia conflict. Ukraine claims to have successfully hit a major Russian oil refinery with long-range drones. Separately, Bulgaria is reportedly moving to seize a Russian-owned refinery. Middle East tensions. Israel has identified the remains of a Tanzanian student whose body was returned by Hamas as one of the hostages taken from Gaza. International security.
Why?
Japan has deployed its military to counter a notable surge in bear attacks across the country. Global diplomacy/energy. Hungary's prime minister is scheduled to meet with President Trump at the White House, with plans to seek support for continuing to buy Russian oil.
All right, maybe I
Science
live
and
in a
research.
fucking matrix.
The European Research Council has awarded 684 million euros in synergy grants to 66 international research teams to tackle major scientific challenges. Political scandal. Mexico. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has pressed charges after being groped by a man while speaking with citizens on the street, prompting calls for tougher sexual harassment laws. Would you like me to elaborate on one of these headlines or find specific motivational angles for any of these stories?
So I don't know if some of you guys do, some of you guys don't, but if you listen to Alondra and my maybe you know segment that we do at night, it was kind of weird. We had some biblical and spirit stuff last night. And one of the things I learned is there was a prophet that got made fun of or some stuff, and two female bears came out and mauled 42 youngsters. And then today, I wake up and get going, and um, Japan has deployed its military to counter surge in bear attacks across the country. It's kind of weird, ironic. But we'll get into that because that's interesting to me. But let's see why Bulgaria. Why is Bulgaria going in to take something that is Russia's?
Bulgaria is preparing to seize control of the Russian-owned Lukoil Burgas oil refinery, primarily because of U.S. sanctions imposed on Lukoil. Here are the key facts.
Okay.
The refinery is owned by Lukoil, one of Russia's largest oil companies. The sanctions. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Lukoil and Rosneft due to Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. The refinery is Bulgaria's only oil refinery. The sanctions put the refinery at high risk of having to shut down. The goal. Bulgaria's action is intended to secure uninterrupted supplies of oil and fuel derivatives for the country, preventing a major energy crisis caused by the sanctions targeting the refinery's Russian ownership. The government plans to seize control and sell it to a new, non-sanctioned owner. This action is a direct response to international geopolitical pressure, sanctions, to maintain national energy security. Would you like to know more about the impact this could have on European energy markets?
So they take it over military, they go in their guns blazing, and then they sell it to somebody else?
The seizure is being executed through legal and legislative
Okay.
action, not military force.
Okay.
Here are the factual steps Bulgaria is taking. Legal mechanism. The Bulgarian government is drafting new legislation to enable the takeover. This is a process of changing national laws to address the crisis. Special manager. The proposed law would allow the government to appoint a special manager or governor to take immediate operational control of the refinery. Sale authority. This special manager would be granted the power to oversee and facilitate the sale of the refinery to a new owner.
Okay.
Lukoil's rights. Under the draft law, the legal owner, Lukoil, would lose the right to vote on the transaction or appeal the decision, effectively bypassing their ownership control. Motivation. This measure is designed to legally insulate Bulgaria's energy supply from the effects of the U.S. sanctions against Lukoil, ensuring the country's only refinery remains operational. The process is one of forced divestiture, a legal requirement to sell an asset, not a military takeover.
Okay.
Do you have another headline you would like to analyze, or should we discuss the motivational angle of this situation?
I understand the motivation. I understand why it needs to occur. What does Russia think of this? Let's get a little bit of insight on that, I suppose.
Russia has not yet issued a direct, formal government statement specifically condemning Bulgaria's current move to seize the refinery. However, their perspective can be understood through the actions of the refinery's owner, Lukoil, and general Kremlin messaging regarding Western sanctions. Here are the key points regarding the Russian reaction. Lukoil's actions. The Russian oil company Lukoil has acknowledged the intense pressure from Western sanctions. Lukoil had already announced it was moving to sell its foreign assets, including potentially the Burgas refinery, due to the sanctions making their international operations difficult.
Okay.
This implies a recognition that maintaining ownership is becoming unsustainable. Perspective on sanctions. Russia consistently frames the seizure of its corporate assets and economic actions like this as illegitimate, hostile, and discriminatory policies driven by the U.S. and its allies. They argue such moves violate normal business practices. Prior claims of unfair treatment. Lukoil has previously criticized the actions taken by Bulgarian authorities, such as tightening oversight, as discriminatory laws and other unfair, biased political decisions that harm business and the investment climate. In short, while the Kremlin may not have released a headline today, their position is that Bulgaria is acting under Western pressure, specifically U.S. sanctions, to illegally take critical Russian-owned assets. Lukoil's move to sell indicates they are attempting to preempt a complete state takeover. Would you like me to look for any official statements from the Russian Foreign Ministry or Lukoil in the last few days?
We'll keep our eye out on that. Make sure that doesn't make a fucking nuke drop or something. Kind of interested in the bears. So let's dig into that Japan bear military. What's going on? What's going on?
That's an unusual situation. Japan's Self-Defense Force, SDF, their military has been deployed, but their role is logistical support in what is essentially a public safety crisis, not a traditional military operation against the animals.
Okay.
Here's the breakdown of what is going on. SDF's role in bear patrol. Non-lethal support. The SDF personnel are not authorized to shoot the bears. They are not acting as hunters or taking part in culling operations themselves. Logistical tasks. Their mission is to provide much-needed manpower for tasks that local authorities are overwhelmed by, specifically transporting, moving specialized steel box traps, hunters, and equipment to remote areas. Setting traps. Assisting in setting up the traps, often baited with food. Recovery. Helping to dispose of the carcasses of captured bears. Information gathering. Using drones for surveillance to locate bear activity. Equipment. The soldiers are equipped with bulletproof vests, bear repellent spray, and shields for their own protection. Why the military intervention? The unusual deployment is in response to an unprecedented surge in bear attacks, particularly in the northern Akita Prefecture, with over 100 people injured and a record number of fatalities reported this year. Food scarcity. A major factor is thought to be climate change disrupting the bears' natural food sources in the mountains, forcing them closer to human residential areas like orchards and town centers as they prepare for hibernation. Lack of manpower. Rural areas in Japan have an aging and declining population, including a shrinking number of licensed, active hunters who are trained to deal with the problem. The local government was desperate for assistance. The government is also working on a larger emergency plan which includes recruiting more licensed hunters and relaxing gun rules to make bear control easier in populated areas. Do you have any questions about the type of bears involved or the impact on
No.
residents?
I mean, that brings me to like, okay, so there's countries that there's countries and places on Earth that are underpopulated. Their population is old. So there's countries and places on Earth where their population is older. Why don't they take more of the younger immigration population and the people that are struggling? I don't know if that is the question, but that's kind of what I mean. Like,
That is an excellent and complex question. Many aging, high-income countries do need young immigrants to maintain their economies and social security systems, but their immigration policies are often restricted due to a blend of asterisks, social, political, and economic barriers. Here are the main reasons why older countries resist taking in more young immigrants. 1. Social and cultural resistance, fear of loss of homogeneity. Countries like Japan, and, to a lesser extent, parts of Europe, have historically valued ethnic and cultural homogeneity. There is a deep concern that a rapid, large influx of people with different traditions, languages, or religions will threaten the national identity and social cohesion. Generational differences in attitude. Surveys often show that older generations are more averse to open immigration policies than younger people.
Right.
This is often attributed to cohort effects. The older generations grew up in a less diverse environment and may hold more fixed negative perceptions toward immigrants that are difficult to change later in life. Integration challenges. Integrating large immigrant populations effectively requires significant investment in language training, education, and housing. Failure to do this can lead to social tension, cultural clashes, and economic disparities, which governments fear. 2. Economic and fiscal concerns. Immediate costs versus long-term gain. While young immigrants fill labor gaps and pay taxes, there are immediate costs associated with a large influx, welfare and public services. Concerns over the strain on existing social services, such as public housing, education for children, and initial healthcare costs. Integration support. The cost of running effective integration programs, language classes, job skills training, is high. Labor market competition. There is often political and public worry among low-skilled native-born workers that an influx of similarly low-skilled immigrants will increase competition, drive down wages, or increase unemployment risk in certain sectors. Skill mismatches. Many countries struggle to create immigration policies that perfectly match the skills of new arrivals, which may be low-skilled or not easily recognized, with their most urgent needs, often high-skilled tech or highly specialized care work. If immigrants cannot find work, they become a net cost rather than a benefit. 3. Political and policy inertia. The political cycle. In democratic countries, policy is often driven by the concerns of the voting population. Since older people vote at higher rates and often harbor more anti-immigration sentiment, politicians are incentivized to maintain stricter borders to secure their votes, even if the long-term economic analysis suggests more immigration is necessary. Focus on domestic solutions. Many governments, particularly in East Asia, prioritize spending large sums on fertility and family incentives, e.g., childcare subsidies, work-life balance policies, to increase the native birth rate, hoping to solve the demographic problem without relying on foreign-born labor. However, these policies often take decades to show results, and have had limited success so far. In summary, while young working-age immigrants are an acknowledged economic necessity for aging countries, the political will to overcome deep-seated social, cultural, and fiscal fears often acts as a more powerful barrier. Would you like to compare the specific immigration strategies of two Asian countries,
sounds like a bunch of
such
fucking
as Japan
excuses
versus
to
Germany
me.
or Italy?
So is that not how like the US does it? I mean, we have a lot of immigration here. How are we able to seem like we can do it?
That's a very insightful observation. While the US definitely has significant political debates over immigration, the country is structurally and historically better positioned to absorb large immigrant populations than nations like Japan, or even many in Europe. Here is a quick summary of why the US appears to manage a high level of immigration more seamlessly than highly aging countries. US versus Japan/Europe. Key differences. Factor, United States.
Will.
Japan/Italy. Historical identity, nation of immigrants, founded on the principle of continuous immigration, leading to a long-established tradition of diverse cultures and races. Culturally homogeneous, strong historical and cultural emphasis on a single ethnic identity, making large-scale immigration feel like a threat to national character. Starting demographic, aging, but
these all seem like excuses. Couldn't there be a plan put in place to be more broad? I mean, Italy is obviously Italy and beautiful, and Iran's and Iraq's and wherever, and fucking Japan or China or whatever. I don't know. It all seems like an excuse. I don't know if you're going to understand that.
That's absolutely the core of the issue. What you call excuses are really deep-seated political and social challenges that prevent a logical, long-term plan from being implemented. Many experts and international organizations like the OECD and the UN agree that a broader, coordinated plan is both necessary and possible.
Yes.
The consensus is that countries need to adopt a planned and managed migration approach. Here are the key elements of the comprehensive plan that aging countries could put in place to successfully welcome the young, struggling populations you mentioned.
And here's the answer.
Elements of a comprehensive, broad migration plan. 1. Set clear, multi-year targets. The Canada-Australia model. Instead of reacting to crises, countries like Canada and Australia set public, multi-year immigration targets across different categories: skilled worker, family, humanitarian. This achieves two things: predictability. It allows cities, hospitals, and schools to plan budgets and build infrastructure before immigrants arrive. Transparency. It builds public trust by showing that the process is managed, controlled, and tied to economic needs. 2. Full spectrum integration investment. This is where the political resistance often focuses, but experts agree the investment is essential. Mandatory language and civics. Offer free, high-quality, and mandatory language and cultural orientation courses, often tied to a point system for permanent residency. Germany, for instance, has focused heavily on this since 2015. Skills matching and fast-track licensing. Create a system to quickly recognize foreign professional credentials, doctors, engineers, tradespeople, and connect them immediately to local jobs to make them taxpayers from day one. Decentralization. Implement policies to encourage settlement in regions that need workers the most, often smaller towns or rural areas, rather than overwhelming major cities. 3. Address social resistance directly. The only way to overcome cultural resistance is through deliberate policy. Localized funding. Provide direct federal/national funding to local communities and municipalities that successfully integrate immigrants. This turns immigration into an economic and social asset for the local area, rather than a cost. Public dialogue. Shift the public conversation from cultural threat to economic survival. Frame immigrants as the necessary workforce to sustain pensions, healthcare, and essential services for the aging population. Targeted visas. Prioritize visas for sectors with undeniable local need, such as caregivers and healthcare workers, which directly benefit the native-born elderly. Why it's not happening? The political barrier. Ultimately, you are correct. There is a better plan. The main reason countries resist it is because short-term political costs outweigh long-term economic gains. A comprehensive plan requires: 1. A huge initial investment of public money for training, infrastructure, and resettlement. 2. Political courage to override the objections of the older, most reliable voter demographic who fear cultural change. When it comes to a choice between demographic necessity and political expediency, many governments choose the latter, resulting in the excuses you observe. Would you like to learn more about a country that is often cited as having one of the world's most effective and welcoming integration models, such as Canada or Sweden?
Sweden, huh? No, I just kind of blows my mind. No. So.
You were in the middle of...
I was in the middle of something. You're right. No, I don't want to go to that either. So yeah, that just... I mean, I understand it to an aspects of, governments that run shit don't want to lose anything, and they'd rather throw a bunch of money into something that's just going to slowly trickle and burn away, but by then they won't be in office, so they don't give a fuck. Nobody looks at the big picture of what is best for the world or what is best for you or me. What is the best that puts more money into their pocket seems like the main agenda. Um, yeah, half of the population, well, way over half the population, doesn't want anything to do with politics and all that bullshit that they go through to do what they need to do for their job. But I don't know. I can see where maybe negative influences get into countries and change the structure of it. I can understand all them worries. Let's move into some local news.
Since you're interested in local news, here are some of the most recent and relevant stories from Fairmont, Minnesota and Martin County. Recent local election results. The biggest recent news is the results from the Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 election, which included 2 significant school referendums. Fairmont area schools referendum failed.
Yeah.
The $21.7 million building bond referendum for critical facility and educational improvements was unsuccessful, with the unofficial vote showing more no votes than yes votes. Granada Huntley East Chain, GHEC, referendum passed. GHEC successfully passed its building bond referendum of $8.745 million. Martin County/City of Fairmont News. Law Enforcement Center study, the Martin County Board of Commissioners is moving forward with a proposal to conduct an architect and engineering services study for a building facility assessment of the Security Building/Law Enforcement Center, LEC, to address needs in that facility. Fire Department staffing, the Fairmont City Council recently addressed a proposed city code change related to the fire department. Red Rock Center for the Arts. The organization is actively searching for a new executive director to manage its programs. Wastewater facility study. The City Council has approved a study related to the wastewater facility. Recent safety and accident reports. School bus accident. A vehicle and a school bus collided on Highway 109 west of Easton earlier this week, resulting in injuries to both drivers. Would you like more details on the outcome of the school referendum or any other local topic?
Anybody wants to hear more of any of that stuff, feel free. I don't... Fairmont Fire Department spreading out? I don't know. Let's hit that 7-day forecast.
You are currently experiencing a mild day in Fairmont, but the forecast shows a significant drop in temperatures over the weekend, with chances for both rain and snow. Fairmont, MN's 7-day forecast. Day.
All right.
Condition.
So, yeah, today, highs 55, tomorrow 51, Saturday and Sunday in the 30s, 37 and then 31. Monday, back up 35. Tuesday, back up to 50. Wednesday, as of right now, says 51 as the high. So, for getting into the middle of November by then, and in the 50s, but I need a little motivation, a little motivational speech. You got something that's going to get me going?
That's a fantastic request. I can absolutely deliver a concise, powerful motivational speech to help you get going. Since I know you value shorter answers that still include all the facts, here is your focused burst of motivation.
Here you go.
The power of this moment. The path to progress doesn't start tomorrow or next week. It starts right now. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be persistent. Drop the pressure of the finish line and embrace the power of the next step.
Nice.
Every legend, every great achievement, every moment of change began with a single, often imperfect, action. Your mission for today is simple. 1. Start small. Pick the one thing you are resisting the most and work on it for just 15 minutes. Just show up. 2. Ignore the doubt. Doubt is a phantom. Focus on the task, not the self-criticism. Action is the antidote to anxiety. 3. Harness the energy. You have the drive, the skill, and the time. It is all within you. Stop waiting for permission or the perfect feeling. Go. Take the step. Make the move. Your momentum is waiting for you to ignite it. How does that feel? Are you
Yeah.
ready to tackle that big project? Or is there a specific task you'd like a strategy for?
I would like just that motivation. I liked it. 15 minutes. I'm going to do that. I'm going to work on 15 minutes, something I don't want to do, and whatever. I'm not going to doubt myself. I'm done. Um, you know, all within it and move. I'm going to do it. That's the kind of motivation I need. Let's get some deep motivation for somebody who's sad and doesn't want to do anything. You know, let's get some more motivation. Let's keep firing it up.
That's a moment we all face. That heavy,
Yes.
sinking feeling where the world
Yes.
demands movement, but your internal battery is at zero. This isn't a time for aggressive cheerleading. It's a time for radical self compassion and micro movements.
Micro
Here is a deep,
movements.
gentle form of motivation for when everything feels impossible.
Okay.
For the days when the light feels distant, listen to this truth. You are not obligated to be great right now. You are only obligated to be here. The overwhelming feeling that makes you want to stop is a sign that your mind and body are exhausted, not a sign that you are failing. 1. Let go of the all or nothing. Forget the massive list of things you should do. That list is what's keeping you pinned down. There are no grand expectations for this moment. There is only the opportunity for a single, tiny act of care. Your only goal today: do one thing for your future self. Not a project, not a chore. Maybe it's drinking one glass of water. Maybe it's changing your socks. Maybe it's just a 1-minute stand up and stretch. 2. Acknowledge the weight. The hardest thing you have to do today is simply exist while carrying a heavy heart.
Okay.
That is a massive act of strength that no one can take away from you. The fog you're in is real, and the fight you're waging internally is a true battle. Be gentle with the warrior who is fighting it. Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Victor Hugo. 3. The power of the next one. The most important step a person can take is always the next one.
The next
It doesn't
one.
have to be a big leap, it just has to be a forward lean. If your sadness tells you to quit, your response is simply, I will try one more time. The world doesn't need you to be brilliant today. It just needs you to stay in the game. The light will find the cracks. The momentum will come. Until then, you are strong simply for breathing and getting through the hour. Now let's take a tiny step forward. What is one small, gentle thing you can do right now that will be an act of kindness to yourself?
Cool. Well, there we go. Do something 15 minutes you haven't wanted to do. Don't doubt yourself. Just do it. All within time. Move. Get motivated. Let go of all or nothing. You don't have to, it's not all or nothing. It's baby steps. If you fail, try one more time. If you fail, try one more time. Get that mindset. Do one thing for yourself. Just one simple thing. Take some time out of your day and do one simple thing for yourself. I'm going to leave you guys on that. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. God bless and love you.